When people think of fashion, they often picture the runway, the glamour, and the finished product. But behind every successful fashion brand is a strong business strategy. Understanding your buyers, your retailers, your branding, and the commercial side of the industry is just as important as creativity. Fashion entrepreneur, educator, and author Jessel Brizan is hoping to equip designers with those skills through his new book, Selling Fashion Collections, Navigating the Buying Process as a Fashion Entrepreneur. And this morning, he's here with me to discuss the business behind fashion, building sustainable brands, and the future of Caribbean fashion entrepreneurship, that is. Jessel, welcome to the program. How are you this morning?
I'm fine, and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. And firstly, congratulations
Thank you very
on
much.
the release
Thank
of
you.
your new book. It is absolutely gorgeous. Do you mind lifting
Yes,
it
sure.
for our viewers to see this morning? Look at the stunning artwork. The colors are absolutely gorgeous. And this is his brand new book. So again, congratulations on that.
Thank
so
you.
again, it's called Selling Fashion Collections. Now, what inspired you to write this book, Jessel?
All right, so what inspired me was, I've been in fashion 20 plus years. So as an educator, and then I opened a store in 2014 called Blue Basin, where I had over the 5-year period, I had like 30 plus brands, local and Caribbean brands within that store. So by engaging and interacting with local and Caribbean designers and artisans, it opened my eye to one of the key issues, and that is essentially there's a gap between creativity and the commercial side of the fashion industry. So because of my experience as an educator and also, again, engaging the fashion stakeholders, I realized that this gap existed, and this is where this book stems from.
Yeah. Many people believe that success in fashion is all about creativity, but you have to understand the business side of the
Yes.
industry. Tell us about the importance of understanding that business side of the fashion industry, and
Yes,
how
so-
far can that take you?
Yes. So what you see in terms of that gap that I'm alluding to is a lot of designers tend to focus more on the creative aspect of the fashion industry. And you'd see as far as the business acumen in terms of business etiquette, and then understanding, how to establish a proper structure to build a sustainable business. A lot of times you see that there are key components that are missing, right? So if you look at any industry, and fashion also, you have a value chain. So when you look at design and production, sourcing and supply, marketing and merchandising, the business management and administration, you'd see there are certain key components that are lacking. So even though you have a beautiful fashion collection, right, a lot of times in terms of engaging the international fashion community, a lot of time designers, they don't have the acumen or the understanding of the global fashion market to effectively penetrate that market.
And your book also focuses on navigating the buying process.
Yes.
So for viewers who may not be familiar with the industry, what exactly does that mean?
So as a fashion designer, you're right, you have several different channels that you could explore in terms of getting your brand out there. So you could go the direct-to-consumer route, where you could have your own store, you could have your own e-commerce platform, and so on. But I always stress in Trinidad and Tobago, because of our small market, if you have a fashion brand, so I'm not speaking specifically to tailors, dressmakers, and so on, I'm speaking specifically to a fashion brand. If you want to grow, because our market is so small, Trinidad and Tobago is too small to be a primary market. So at some point, you want to engage the international fashion market. So if you want to approach retailers and so on, obviously you have to engage retail buyers. So understanding the buyer psychology, understanding the outreach to buyers. So these are the people who are instrumental in getting your collection in their stores. So you have to know how to engage them, how to do your outreach, and the buyer psychology, what do they look for in a collection, and so on and so forth. So this is what the book addresses.
Now, in your experience, Jessel, what are some of the biggest mistakes that emerging designers make when trying to get their collections into stores or in front of buyers?
Yeah, so I alluded to some of it before. So again, having that business structure, right? So again, the focus is more on the design side,
Yes.
right? Designing the beautiful collections. But again, a beautiful collection without the correct structure in place is just a fashion portfolio, right? So again, alluding to having that value chain in place, understanding in terms of design, production, sourcing and supply, marketing and merchandising, again, how to engage the buyers, but also understanding the buyer psychology in terms of what the buyers look for. So they look for compelling brand identity, look for market fit and customer focus, right? if your collection fits within the assortment of their store. So there are several things that buyers look for. So that buying process and all the components that are part of that buying process, this is where it's important to have that knowledge.
Yeah. Now, the book is a practical guide, and I know you've been touching on a lot of it. What are some of the key takeaways or lessons that you would like to tell our viewers about this morning that this book contains?
Well, the book is divided into 3 sections. So before the buyer's meeting, the buyer's meeting, and after the buyer's meeting. So, you know, for the first section, before the buyer's meeting, in terms of doing a market research, so external and internal analysis, right? And then you have the second chapter, which is sizing up your brand, so which more focuses on the internal analysis. So in terms of establishing your brand ethos, understanding, you know, a design structure, design markets, and so on. Then you have chapter 3, which focuses on the commercial considerations. So as far as pricing strategy, in terms of understanding profitability analysis and that sort of thing. So then you have the second section, which is the buyer's meeting. So in terms of understanding, as I alluded to before, understanding the buyer psychology, how to prepare for a buyer's meeting, how to present the collection effectively and communicate to the buyer. And then the third section is focusing after the buyer's meeting, which is capturing value after. So how do you follow up? How do you, in terms of if you were able to successfully get an order from a buyer, what are the steps that follow after that? And then there's, importantly, if, let's say you get a no, right, which is not the end of the road. So if you happen to get a no from a buyer, it's not the end of the road. You have to understand that there are alternative selling channels. So chapter 8 addresses that, all the different selling channels that are available to you if you are unsuccessful in getting your collection into actual retail store.
Now, beyond the runway, what does building a truly sustainable fashion business look like in today's market?
So again, having that structure in place. So you have to understand that fashion is a business, and you know you have to have, right from top to bottom, the right structure in place. So which I alluded to before. Understanding your design markets, doing your proper market research, understanding what trends are happening in the global marketplace, understanding how that you structure your brand in terms of, again, design markets, understanding your customer focus. So there's all these different components along the value chain. And for the typical designer, right, when you're now starting out, you have to wear all of the hats. Right, so which is unfortunate, but it is a reality of the business. You have to wear all of the hats. So again, putting that right structure in place is very important. Yeah.
Well, finally, where can we get a copy of the book, and what's next for you after this publication? So
Selling Fashion Collection is currently available at Scribbles and Quills, which is at 6 Gaston Street, Landsberg, Chaguanas, and also at Paper-Based Bookstore, which is at 14 Alcazar Street in St. Clair, Port of Spain. As far as what's next for me, I'm preparing to launch a consultancy, which is called Brizan Advisory. And everything that I discuss in this book, I want to provide a platform where people could come, but not just designers, right? Government, educational institutions, right? Because it's important to help establish a globally competitive local fashion industry, right? So this is where my focus is. So soon that will be rolling out.
Well, congratulations
to
you, Jessel, and thank you for joining us this morning. Your work is really an important reminder that while creativity may open the door, it's the business knowledge that actually helps to keep it open. And congrats on your book, and we wish you continued success as you help to shape the next generation of fashion entrepreneurs right here in Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean as well. 7:43, that's the time. We take a quick break, and when we come back, there's so much more for you on Trinidad and Tobago Today.